Wait, no, what am I saying? I hate my job.
Of course you do, Party Boy. Anyway, we're here again for the first time.
Fucking Home Depot.
For the millionth time.
That reminds me, I gotta get keys from my dad. Make sure to remind me today.
I will remind you.
Because he's been reminding me for a fucking month.
Yeah, your dad. And
that's all he said. Did you get my keys yet? Did you get my keys yet? Did you get my keys yet? I'm like, no, Dad.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Anyway, Survient here, reporting in again.
Yeah. Argoti.
Party boy bitching.
As always, this is Sude Sue. Test recording number something or other.
We're uploading this, by the way, for no apparent reason whatsoever.
Perhaps, perhaps not.
Even though nobody will probably listen to it.
But it would be funny.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe.
So what games have you been playing recently, Argoti?
I've been playing Minecraft like I normally do. A little bit of Link's Awakening. And also this shitty game called Neverwinter.
We had this discussion already. Neverwinter is not shitty.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's made by Perfect World, so it's not perfect.
Oh. Yeah.
I know they've been having a lot of downtime recently. Well, maybe not that much downtime.
Log into game for first time. Game has to close 10 minutes before you get into it.
Yep.
Oops.
Well, I mean, I can see them taking it down for a little bit. I hear having your economy crash and burn, kind of a bad thing.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
At least they didn't have real world currency as far as outgoing like Diablo 3 did. I mean, people could get in there, abuse the economy, and then run away with actual money in their bank account. There's not much that Perfect World can do in that situation if they want to hunt down the money.
Unless they, sold it over to some gold sellers or whatever. Huh.
Yeah, we'll go on about that. But, yeah, I'll be honest, I've seen a lot of the reviews about Neverwinter. There have been a lot of good and a lot of bad. One of the things I think that can be taken away in a more serious light is that while they have been having all these hurdles and trips and tribulations, the actual core dev company seems to really be behind their product. Maybe not 100%, but enough that you really can feel that they are trying to make things better.
Didn't Perfect World do another game, but I can't remember what it's called?
Well, Cryptic's done a few. That's the studio behind it. They did Star Trek Online, I think.
Perfect World had an MMO too, but I'm trying to remember what
it was. Perfect World. It is now known as Perfect World International. I haven't played it myself personally.
You didn't miss much. I tried it and I got bored and I installed it.
But anyway, they keep making blog posts and
where's my ranged DPS characters?
Yeah, Rangers are coming soon. Anyway, I think they're legitimately trying to do things right. Like right now, they're not even focusing on balance changes. Some people might consider that a misdirection on their part, but I think their logic is sound. They basically are explaining is they're trying to get the core bugs out. They're trying to get a solid base to work with before they start tweaking the actual balance. Because if you got components in the game that aren't even functional, no amount of balance changes are going to fix those issues. But myself as a player so far, I've enjoyed it. The community is complete garbage, but that's honestly that is the majority, if not all, MMOs I've played so far. And I know there are a lot of people that argue one way or the other, but honestly, it fluctuates. But for me, it's been mostly a negative experience.
Yeah, it's not just MMOs. Like honestly, free to play just brings a terrible, terrible market because a bunch of teenagers and shit coming on there. Fucking shit up. And
it'll create a schism between the paid players and not paid players. Yeah. TF2 has that problem too. Like when I played Team Fortress 2, there are people be arguing literally in the middle of a match, saying how much superior they were compared to somebody who was quote unquote using the F2P edition. And it's like, okay, so does that mean, you're pretty much on the same level now because the game is officially free to play, but it's still limited. But it's kind of a dual fault,
But yeah, I hear where you're coming from. On average, like I usually get in when I play MMOs into the little pocket communities. Basically, you go around, you look at the main general chat or whatever game you play happens to call it. In this one, what is it? The lore chat or
well, it's got like zone chat.
Zone chat, yeah, that's what they're calling it in this one. But yeah, like the zone chat is terrible. But I'll go in, and most of the time when I go in to join pickup groups and join in with just a bunch of random strangers, on average, they're cooperative. They get the job done. Mostly quiet. They don't really talk too much in those parties. They talk up a storm on the zone chat, but
it's mostly just trolling.
In the actual parties, it's not bad. We get in, we do the run or whatever we're doing, and it gets done. I really can't comment too much on PvP. We'll get to that in a minute, but basically, I go through, I participate in the different events and the things that they have, and so far it's been pretty good. I've made a couple contacts on there. From a community perspective, for the random people you're going to actually bump into, I think it's fine. The forums are a mess, and the actual mainline zone chat community is terrible, but that's falling in line with honestly most MMOs that I've played.
Yeah, and I don't go to the forums. I was on Subreddit. I'm probably going to unsubscribe to it soon. And zone chat, I put that shit on a different tab and just don't even deal with it because it's so bad. I play the game for the game itself. Play with a few friends like I normally do, and it has its moments, sure, but I don't know. I'm getting burned out on MMOs in general, but just
I feel like I'm burning out on those because I've lost my flavor for them, honestly.
Yeah, like I've been doing some WoW. I did Guild Wars 2 for like a couple weeks and got burnt out on that. Tor, I tried coming back to after it went free to play, and that's horrible. And like this, it's got its things. The Foundry, I have to say, is pretty cool when it's properly balanced and not just trying to murder you horribly because you slept through it easily before.
Yeah, certain founder content creators have to really look at balance changes. A lot of them either too easy or too difficult. But aside from the challenge imbalance, I think as far as story goes, the average Foundry quest content, what have you, is good. I think on average, the people who actually are going to get in there spend the time to make content. You're not really going to get trolls or anything like that because you have to, when in the creator, there are a minimum number of things you have to address, and honestly, it's too much effort for your average troll to go in there and make some bogus, messed up, little quest that nobody wants to play or brings down the entire system.
Unless they do it on accident, trying to make hard boss encounters instead of making impossible ones.
Yeah, well, the ones that freak out when their content is quote too easy. They wind up having have balance issues. But there's a lot of good story in there. I played a couple of the good ones. Really, the only negative side, aside from some bugs and things like that, as far as the interface goes, I think my three main problems with the Foundry. Number one is there's a couple bugs that they have to work out, and the devs have already acknowledged them, I should say, not really addressed them, but they're working on getting those hammered out. The other area is going to be the amount of content you have to work with. It's pretty strong for an initial release. However, they still, compared to the main game as it is right now, there's still a lot of areas that are untapped. you only have certain types of rooms you can choose from, certain settings, versus what's already available in the game. The developers have stated that they're going to expand upon that down the road. We'll see. It's not that I'm not holding my breath or anything like that. I think they probably will stay true to their word, but we can only take it at this point at face value, so there's no sense in setting it in stone that, oh yeah, it's totally coming. Because we really don't know what's going to happen. It's still open beta. There's still a lot of things that can change. On the third front, the one that I've been seeing as a problem on the player's side for the Foundry is the speedrun quests that people are creating to basically really take away from the whole point of the Foundry. The whole point is for player-created content to extend the replay value of the game and basically make some enjoyable content, whereas other players have gone in and seen it as a way to make a quick grind, go in there and do a quick XP fest and really short, quick, crappy quests. The devs have made some changes to combat that, but it's still, you still see a few in there, and they haven't quite fixed it yet.
Yeah, like I haven't played it myself, but I've heard of a few that were basically just like doing exploits, like let's put a bunch of monsters on the edge of a cliff so you can just kick them off and get a bunch of loot, or put them all in a pit that you can just AoE down and stuff, and yeah, it's pretty horrible. And like they've done some things to fix it. I think they capped the amount of XP you can earn from it, and the thing that made me sad is they removed the random dungeon or the random loot from there. So like if you haven't played it, there's a bunch of things that you can use skills or kits for. Like you'll find an altar that you use religion for, or a bag that you use thievery for, and you get crafting stuff. You know, not too useful. I haven't really used much crafting stuff myself. Just something I kind of have on the side. But it's good, but you just don't find it anymore because apparently people were exploiting that and setting it up where they could get a bunch of them all in a small room.
Yeah, and honestly, I can understand that. And the open beta part of this whole equation, I think, is going to lean both in the positive and the negative. It can work for them or work against them. Hopefully it works in positive, where they bring features like that back after doing some, testing and tweaking. One of the key things, and a lot of players don't really take this into account, is because it's not just the open beta part. In most modern MMO and just online games in general environments, they have the public testing area where they use that kind of as a buffer for certain releases. With the way Neverwinter is right now, it has no buffer. It's raw. You get the changes as they're made. They do some internal testing, but it's nothing like having a public beta environment like most games these days have.
I'm sure they'll change it after it gets out of beta, but yeah, there isn't a PTR or public tests, anything on this. It's just all straight from it.
Raw as the devs dish it out, and they have stated in the blogs that they are going to do a public beta environment where you can do tests if you want and help them flesh out the bugs before it hits the live community. I'm excited about that. I want to see where they go with that. So I think they've got a lot of good stuff. From those perspective, from a broad overview, I think it has a lot of good things to offer. But that's just from the outside. From the gameplay perspective, there are some balance issues.
Yeah, you definitely, I'm sure, are going to start running into them soon, from what I understand.
I already have. I'm running around. I haven't gotten to end game content just yet, but the class I play mainly is the Great Weapon Fighter, which is pretty much the joke class so far. It's definitely underpowered versus all the others, and I'm not saying that from a whiny, bitchy perspective. That's a real world. It's common knowledge.
Yeah, like you do like decent regular damage, decent AoE damage, and a little bit of CC as I understand it.
Yeah, but it's not even decent. It's very subpar.
Oh.
The numbers, if you really compare them side by side with a rogue or even in some cases a great weapon fighter. The big thing on the Guardian fighter. The Guardian fighter, the big thing on him is that he can do as much damage as a great weapon fighter while still retaining all of his normal defensive benefits.
Yeah, from what I understand, even like clerics can do a lot more damage just over the same period of times without even boosting out their big skill.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in those situations, the cleric really would have to go and basically play min-max to really focus on damage rather than just healing. Now, would they still be good at healing? They'd be decent, but when you get this is all conjecture at this point because, like I said, I haven't reached end-game content yet, but I would presume that clerics, if they really want to get serious about healing, especially for the higher level encounters, are going to need to not maybe min-max on healing, but at least spend a little bit of points in there. But
yeah.
That's on the side. My particular build so far as a great weapon fighter, I've balanced it out. My big thing on there is regeneration. Basically, I don't know if they're going to balance tweak that or not, but right now, honestly, it's pretty ridiculous. All the other classes don't really have the room to afford to spec into that stat. All they can do really is go and focus on their critical, well, not like in terms of critical hits, but like basically the significant stats for their particular class. Whereas, honestly, great weapon fighters, their main thing is supposed to be armor penetration, but with their damage being so low to begin with, there's no real point in specking out, maxing your armor penetration, at least not until they do some balance changes. So the ability to oddball out and go into regeneration is an interesting tweak, and it's actually worked for me quite well. Unlike most games where it's like a flat amount of regen or it's just a paltry sum you get on top of your normal stats, with regeneration in Neverwinter, it's kind of weird. You start off as you lose health, and the regeneration rate is very minimal. It basically goes on a percentage on how much health you're missing. The more health you're missing, the more regeneration you get. So even in PvP environments, I'll get in there and I'll get swarmed by countless DPS classes, get my health very low, but they'll still have a hard time killing me in certain situations purely because my regeneration gets so high. Now, does it fix the class? No. Does it make the game more enjoyable? I don't know that that's really something that needs to be judged. Enjoyment doesn't really come from how good the class, at least for me, it doesn't come from how good the class is. The class is still playable. In the player versus environment situation, I feel that the Great Weapon Fighter still has viability, but that's going into one particular class. Overall, I think I've played Cleric so far and Great Weapon Fighter. I think Cleric's doing a lot better than Great Weapon Fighter, but it definitely needs a few balances, especially on the threat generation for healing. It's a little bit broken right now.
Yeah, it is.
How's your take on Control Wizard there, Argoti?
I do love Control Wizard. Like I said, with Control Wizard, I really am focusing a lot on power. So I get big hits in, lots of AoE damage. I also kind of throw a lot into recovery when I can, which turns down gets my cooldowns lower, so I can keep enemies CC'd. That's basically what my class does. It CCs enemies, lifts them up in the air, frees them, and then lots of AoE damage. Can also do some great single target damage as well, especially in actually a few levels here. But I'm liking it a lot when I play it. It's really fun, especially going up, force choking guys, freezing them, pushing them back. It's all great fun, especially using the dailies, opening a big black hole in the air and doing lots of AoE damage to people.
Singularity a la Mass Effect.
Sigh.
Yep, exactly. I'm a big fan of it. Like, I'm just
100% cooldown. Do it again.
Yep. But I'm just not into the MMOs as much anymore, so I'm not playing as much. I'm only mid-30s right now. I get my really big nuke, I think at 45, based on the points. So that will be fun. Just
You got to get around to finding value in playing, and that can be hard to do.
Yeah.
There's a couple things. Partyboy, how are you liking Rogue?
It's okay. It's just.
You're really harping in on the ranged class.
Yeah, I prefer range. It's like, I don't like being too close to the enemy.
You should give Control Wizards a shot until they do come out with the Rangers, because we do have a lot of ranged DPS. Like I said, a lot of it's more AoE, but there is a lot of the single target as well on it.
Dots are too. I don't mind Dots characters either.
Well, like the Cleric, honestly, if you do a DPS spec on there, can be a lot of fun. The only problem, it's always bothered me about Clerics is that it comes with the territory. You play a Cleric, you heal. That's the expectation, and I kind of wish that games would have some mechanism for a flag where it basically says whether you're healing spec or not. I mean, you're looking for party and you're looking for ranged DPS. Well, there you go. You can have a Cleric fill that role just fine. And Neverwinter, that's no exception. The Cleric that's spec'd on damage, my ult is a Cleric that I've gone mostly damage with a side on healing, just enough to heal in a pinch if I need to. But DPS-wise, they're right up there. Are they as strong as the Rogue or the Control Wizard? Probably not. Their CC's up there with the Control Wizard, just a couple notches below. DPS is definitely up there. They can, if they have it spec'd out right, especially with certain tweaks on the skill tree, they can dish out some pain.
Yeah.
They're definitely fun to play in that perspective, in both roles, healing or damaging. I think that's one interesting take on Neverwinter from a D&D perspective, is having a ranged Cleric like that. Basically, what was that term that they were using, Argoti? The laser cleric, that's what it was.
Yeah, laser cleric.
Laser cleric, and versus the traditional shield and mace.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love me a classic cleric from the D&D lore. It definitely has its place, and I hope that the Neverwinter scene sees that come into play maybe down the road. That they've already introduced the class as a whole, so it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes them to get around to that. It's still, when we're talking missing core classes, we need Ranger, we need Barbarian, Bard, maybe Sorcerer,
Druid definitely.
Druid definitely needs to be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Laser Cleric though, like, that really came in 4th edition, which is what it's based off of. Don't have much experience. We mostly play 3.5 here when we do play D&D.
On a personal level, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Laser Clerics have been in there from the start on that. I do hope that they come up with some more classes and different specs. Like, Fighter does have the 2 specs, the Guardian or the Tank Fighter versus the two-handed weapon, great weapon fighter. Yeah,
because the melee, honestly, the Mace Cleric, I have fun with it. Building something like, I don't know, you take a tanky build one that actually has some DPS output as an option. You also have, like, one of our friends is playing a Zen Archery Cleric right now in one of our groups. It's turning out to be a lot of an interesting take on it. You get your options. I think that Cryptic's choice to take the game in more of an action RPG perspective is good. I think that was the right decision to make. Does it have the level of customizability as DDO? Not really. But honestly, I think that to market the game and be profitable, honestly, that's really what it comes down to. A lot of people whine about, oh, you're just doing it for the money. To be fair, I think they need to focus on that a little bit. There's no point in running the game if it's going to go bankrupt. A great game that makes no money, especially in an MMO perspective, may as well not be a game at all. I know that sounds a little bit obscene, but honestly, I like a enjoyable game that is profitable because you know it's going to be around for a while, and you know if you invest your time and money in the game, you're going to get something out of the game on a personal level, but you have some longevity to look for. They're not going to close up shop in the next month or so. So far, Neverwinter's been doing really well financially, as far as they've said. They haven't released numbers yet, but I think it's definitely looking promising. We'll see. You know, like I said, there's issues. Hopefully, with them tweaking out some of the balance changes, some of the bug fixes, hopefully additional content comes that helps add more value to the game. I think they're on the right track, though.
Yeah, they do have a lot of work to do with the balance. Like, beyond what he said before, from what I understand in Endgame and what I've personally experienced, the holy trinity of MMOs, you know, the tank, the healer, the DPS, that's completely trashed on here. First time I was kind of leveling up, me and Survient randomly paired up with another control wizard, so 2 control wizards and a cleric, and we went to the first dungeon and just destroyed it with 3 people at the minimum level for it. And on endgame, apparently, from what I've seen, the preferred party is like 2 trickster rogues, and then the rest control wizards and clerics, and just DPS everything down. There's no room for the tank, and Great Weapon
Fighter is a toothpick.
Yeah, exactly. So they do need to work on that, make it so that all the classes do have a role, and can be switched out, like when Trickster, Rogue, and whatever the Ranger, they can switch out for DPS, or Great Weapon Fighter and the Rogue. I'm sure Control Wizard probably would always have a pretty good place because of their awesome CC abilities, but you know, the DPS class I'm sure could switch out on there when they properly balance it. I don't think they're going to, though, pretty soon, just based on what I've read, although I could be mistaken.
Yeah, once they start hammering out the balance changes, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Partyboy, any final thoughts?
Neverwinter is an okay game, but it's not something I'm really getting into.
Yeah,
but that's just me. It's like, I pick it up every once in a while, but it's not like, oh my god, I have to fucking play this game every waking minute.
Yeah, but honestly, what games out there are like that right now?
Yeah. I mean, they do some good things, right? Like, just general questing.
The questing isn't boring. It wasn't boring. It's just, you know, I don't know. Yeah. It just feels off.
Yeah, it has some cool stuff, although it still does have the standard go to kill 10 rats, collect bear asses kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I do like how they do randomly have, like, little events, not on the level of Rift. Rift had really awesome events, so did Guild Wars 2, where random stuff popped up. This is just like, here, play a mini game for 5 minutes every half hour or so.
Yeah, the community, getting the community active. Guild Wars 2 has some good stuff. I'll give Rift this much. Rift had that down. Yeah, and that is why it's, as far as if you take somebody who's never played an MMO before and you're lining up the raw values and throwing one at them to play, honestly right now my recommendation would still be Rift.
Yeah, especially here pretty soon when it's going free to play, which I might pick it up again and see how it's changed and all that.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I've talked to some avid MMO players on Rift and heard what they had to say, but we'll go into that probably when Rift goes free to play. Probably give it a go and give a review in on that. But on Neverwinter's side, I think it's promising. We'll see what happens. It's obviously doing something right with its current level of popularity. But if that's just kind of we'll see if it's a passing fad or if it's something that's going to stay around. Personally, I'm hoping it stays around. I'm enjoying it, but then again, I'm probably in the minority. Most people are just playing it mostly for the hype, I think, at this point. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope people are playing it and enjoying it, but I think we got some good stuff coming.
Yeah, and you are invested. If you don't know, they've got several tiers that you can do for founders on all that. I'm not sure what all they do. I haven't done it yet. I might throw 15, maybe even 60 if it does catch my attention some more there. But you're definitely a bit more invested than us in that part, at least.
Hey man, the Founders Pack gets you some good stuff. So
yeah, like your motherfucking honey badger.
How much was that Founders Pack?
It was a bank. It was
200 plus, maybe you say, not including taxes.
No taxes on it, but
really?
Yeah, no taxes. But anyway,
that's gonna change soon.
Depending on your locality.
Yep.
But anyway,
we're in Texas, so that's gonna change soon. Taxes everywhere.
Taxes being covered another day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is Survient signing off.
Argoti, see you later.
This is Partyboy having nothing to do with this conversation.
Damn straight.